Have you ever thought about how different your life would be if you stopped watching others and started creating your own path? Imagine that idea growing in your mind like a seed. If you give it discipline, belief, and clear direction, it can become unstoppable success. I've studied many successful people throughout history. Their biggest secret wasn't being competitive, having connections, or being privileged. It was pure, strong, and unapologetic focus on their own mission, their own purpose, their own work, and not anyone else's. When you focus on your own business, life rewards you. You stop wasting energy on things that don't matter. You stop reacting to distractions that have nothing to do with what you want to achieve. You stop comparing yourself to others who aren't even on the same journey. Most importantly, you start building something real that shows off your thoughts, your disciplined habits, and your clear vision. The trap of distraction. Many people don't succeed, not because they lack talent, but because they put their attention everywhere except where it counts. They're great at watching, not at doing. They know all about other people's lives, but haven't written their own story. They talk a lot, but do little. They know more about celebrities than their own future. This is a common problem today. Distraction. You have to choose to live differently. You must choose to mind your own business, not just by avoiding drama, but by concentrating deeply on your own path. When I say mind your own business, I'm inviting you to take back control of your mind, your time, your priorities, and your future. If you don't control these things, you'll always be working towards someone else's goal. Think of your mind as a garden. You're responsible for what grows there. If you're not planting ideas of success, focus, and progress, then weeds of doubt, comparison, and not being good enough will take over. It's a simple rule. What you focus on grows. So if you're focused on gossip, needing approval, or fearing judgment, you're feeding the wrong things, and the results will be disappointing. Be a builder, not a drifter. When you start each day by asking, what should I build, control, and master today? You start acting like a builder, a leader, a creator. This is the difference between just floating through life and actually. Most people just float. They react to everything, pulled by every wave and whisper. They wake up already behind, caught up in other people's energy, opinions, needs, and chaos. By noon, they're exhausted, and by night, they feel defeated, wondering why nothing changes. But someone who minds their own business has a different feeling about them. You can sense it. They might not be loud, but they are clear. They're not everywhere, but they are effective. They don't need praise because they have a clear vision, the power of elimination and silence. When you mind your own business, your energy gets sharper, your conversations get shorter, your friend group shrinks, your habits get better, and your goals become clearer. Why? Because success isn't just about what you add, it's about what you remove. The first thing to remove is the need to explain yourself. You don't owe anyone your energy, your reasons, or your time unless it helps your purpose. Let people misunderstand you, question you, or gossip. Just don't let them distract you. Every moment you spend explaining is a moment you're not doing the work. You're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to rise above average. You can't do that if you're always pulled into arguments or trying to fix things that aren't broken within. The truth is, the path to peace, power, and wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, personal, and internal. It's doing the work when no one is watching. It's planning while others make fun of you. It's staying consistent while others drift. It's winning in silence, not because you're hiding, but because you're building. Silence is powerful because while the world is noisy, the silent person sees clearly. They see patterns, opportunities, and where others are too busy reacting. From that calm state, they act with precision. This isn't passive living. It's purposeful dominance. You don't need to talk about it or post about it. Just move, grow, and execute. The results will speak for themselves. And when they do, Don't get sidetracked by applause because that's just another kind of noise. Stay on course. Embrace your vision. Some people will dislike that you've put yourself first. They'll resent your discipline, misunderstand your quietness, and call your boundaries selfish. But remember, their confusion isn't your problem. Their reactions aren't your responsibility. Your only duty is to your inner calling and the vision. When you stop explaining yourself and start truly being yourself, you change the entire energy of your life. You create momentum where there was hesitation, discipline where there was delay, and focus where there was frustration. This is what happens when you mind your own business. You become magnetic. Success, opportunities, and the right people start finding you. Not because you chased them, but because you became the kind of person they want to connect. Real wealth is built from clarity, not noise. You don't get rich by chasing every trend or powerful by copying every move. You become powerful when you master your own unique path so completely that no one else can copy it. This power begins the day you decide to protect your peace, value your focus, and manage your time like a general on a mission. I'm telling you this not to inspire you, but to awaken you. You have a business to build, a life to lead, and a mind to master. Every second you spend focusing on what someone else is doing is a second stolen from your own legacy. Guard your attention like treasure, protect your energy like a fortress, and above all, mind your own business. This isn't an insult. It's a call to greatness. It's the only way to build a life that is truly yours. Once you truly understand this and make it your default way of living, you'll look back one day with respect, not regret. You'll say, "Thank goodness I stopped watching and started working. Thank goodness I stopped reacting and started creating. Thank goodness I learned the discipline of minding my own business." Because that, more than smarts, talent, or money, is the root of real success. It's the foundation for your legacy. If you protect it, it will reward you in ways you can't even. The fruits of focus. Let's look at the good things that happen when you fully commit to minding your own business. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. This isn't being passive. It's actively pulling away from unimportant distractions and intentionally putting your energy towards control. When you mind your own business, you're no longer controlled by public opinion. You don't need outside approval. Your power comes from clarity, and clarity becomes how you operate. Someone who minds their own business becomes dangerous, not because they cause harm, but because they can't be manipulated. They won't fall for gossip or be tricked into envy. They don't compare their current progress to someone else's finished product because they know their only competition is who they were yesterday. Your peace is power. Never forget that. And your silence isn't weakness. It's where strength grows. Momentum and unshakable wealth. What happens when you shift your focus inward, away from noise, opinions, and the need to impress? You gain momentum. Most people stay stuck because they're always caught up in things that don't concern them. They waste hours arguing about others, endlessly scrolling through lives that aren't their own. They talk loudly about goals, but don't protect the path to reach them. Their energy is spread thin across many things, but you, the one who minds your own business, you start building quiet momentum. No one sees your early mornings or late nights or the talks you have with yourself, but it's happening. Every hour of focus builds confidence. Every day of discipline sharpens your skills. Eventually, your results will speak louder than any self-promotion. This is where your power grows exponentially. When you operate from this focused state, you attract not just money, but the right kind of wealth, self-respect, time, clarity, and yes, money. Money isn't the main goal, but it's a natural result of consistently providing value to the world without. The riches you want aren't found by chasing them outside yourself. They are created by aligning your inner world. Control your thoughts, and your circumstances will follow. Discipline your habits, and success will come to you. Protect your energy, and your surroundings will improve to match you. This is what happens when you focus on your own business. Not just money, but growth, integrity, mission, and purpose. You become unshakable. The path of the builder. This is where true transformation becomes clear. You stop seeking revenge or applause. You stop worrying about who supports you. You stop chasing trends because your sense of self comes from your inner beliefs, not from external reactions. You know what you're building, why you get up each morning, and what you stand for. That kind of clarity scares noisy people, but liberates the focus. Your energy is your most valuable asset. Where you put your attention is where you invest your future. Most people waste it on pointless debates, arguments, and competition. But you invest it in mastery, in your health, in your vision. You become so consistent, so focused, so aligned that success isn't just an event. It's a natural outcome. When was the last time you truly sat with your vision, without interruptions? When did you disconnect from the crowd to reconnect with your true calling? The silence you avoid is where the answers are. Once you learn to thrive in that solitude, you become selective, not arrogant, but discerning. You don't consume what everyone else does. You don't say yes out of guilt. You don't need to explain your pace, your choices, or your timeline because you've outgrown the need to be understood. You're too busy becoming. That's the real power of minding your own business. It gives you access to compounding growth. Small wins become habits. Habits become standards. Standards become your identity. And your identity becomes your destiny. Staying the course. Not everyone will understand your silence. Some will think it's weakness. Some will project their own fears onto it. Some will try to pull you back into their noise, drama, and insecurities. Why? Because your peace challenges their chaos. Your focus highlights their distractions. Your discipline magnifies their excuses. But you must remain unmoved. The moment you lower yourself to their level, you lose your progress. Stay committed to your mission. Let your work speak for itself where words aren't needed. Let your focus be so strong that your name is whispered in rooms you haven't even entered yet. Let your actions become a message too loud to ignore, even in silence. And let the results of your discipline serve as proof, not just to others, but to yourself that you didn't give in, you stayed the course, and you trusted the. This is true self-leadership. It's rare. It takes maturity. It takes courage to go against the crowd. It takes humility to improve privately and strength to succeed quietly. So, stop explaining, stop justifying, stop listening to noise. You have work to do. You have a life to build. You have a mind to develop, a body to strengthen, and a legacy to create. None of that can happen if you're always looking for applause for every step. Mature ambition isn't loud, it's focused. And focused people don't waste time trying to convince the world they're worthy. They know that results follow. Reclaim your power. Are you ready to live this way? Are you ready to silence the world so you can hear your purpose more clearly? Are you ready to become the kind of person whose growth dissolves distractions? Then start today. Reclaim your mornings, your schedule, your energy, your mind. You owe it to your potential, to your future, to every part of you that fought. Minding your own business isn't running away. It's a smart move. It's stepping back from a noise so you can rise with precision. And when you do, when you stand strong in that silence, understand this. You're not falling behind. You're not forgotten. You're being forged. When the time is right, when the results are ready, they will appear not because you begged, but because you built. This is what happens when you mind your own business. There's a power that grows when you focus intensely on your own work, thoughts, energy, and dedication. This power is concentration, and it's incredibly valuable. When you focus your mind on your true business, you build momentum so strong that no critic, no distraction, no storm can tear it down. the undeniable truth. Let me be clear. Minding your own business isn't about being selfish. It's about responsibility. It's about knowing what your task is and what isn't. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your ideas like a king guards his crown. And when you do this, when you work with full intensity and no outside interference, something amazing happens. The world around you starts to change. Doors that were closed begin to open. People start to notice. The very people who made fun of your silence will now seek your wisdom. Why? Because silence and results are louder than noise. And when you stop worrying about what others are doing, how fast they're moving, or how much they're achieving, you give yourself the luxury of depth. You stop scratching the surface and go deep. In that depth, you find greatness. The surface is crowded, but depth is empty. That's where the few go. That's where mastery lives. And mastery attracts wealth. Not because you chase it, but because it can't resist true excellence. The person who minds their business knows the difference between just moving and actually progressing, between getting attention and making an impact, between applause and you don't owe anyone your attention. You owe them your results. You owe the world your service, your brilliance, and your purpose, not your responses to rumors, your comebacks to criticism, or your opinions on gossip. Every second you spend defending yourself, explaining yourself, or reacting to noise is a second stolen from your legacy. This is where most people fail. They don't know how to stay quietly in their own lane. They're addicted to comparing, to arguing back, to proving they're right. And in all that proving, they lose their power. Because power doesn't scream, power just moves. Build your own light. So I ask you today, are you minding your own business, or are you distracted by theirs? Are you watering your own soil, or are you trying to uproot someone else's tree? You don't need to destroy another person's house to build your own. You don't need to outshine others. You just need to ignite your own light so brightly and purely that darkness can't exist around it. That's what happens when you mind your own business. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your presence becomes respected. Your word becomes rare and valuable. And your work starts to speak without needing explanation. Here's the truth no one likes to say. Most people aren't disciplined enough to focus on their own growth. It's easier to watch someone else's journey than to walk your own. It's easier to criticize from the sidelines than to build from the ground up. But what's easier rarely leads to wealth, freedom, or mastery. Discipline is the quiet architect of destiny. Every day you choose to ignore distractions, arguments, and drama, and instead commit to your business, your routine, and your calling. You're building a future others will envy. But that future only belongs to the builder, not the bystander. The builder keeps their head down, not in shame, but as a strategy. They wake up with clarity. They work in silence. They don't argue. They execute. They don't react. They rise. They don't explain. They expand. Because they know their business isn't for everyone to understand. It's for them, the unquestionable victory. Wealth follows those who are consistent, not flashy, not reactive, not emotionally unstable. Just disciplined, committed, and doing what they said they'd do long after the mood has passed. That's the real meaning of minding your own business. It means you don't abandon your path just because someone else took a shortcut. It means you don't measure your worth by applause, but by staying true to yourself. It means you let your results arrive, and when the results arrive, and they will, everything changes. The critics disappear, the doubters go silent. The world that ignored you now studies you. But by then, you're no longer seeking their attention. You've outgrown it because you've built something real, born from your conviction, not from online comments. When you spend enough time focused, disciplined, and detached from noise, something amazing happens. You become unbothered, not passive, not arrogant, but deeply, unshakably centered. That's when you become dangerous, Not because you want to cause harm, but because you're no longer vulnerable to distraction. Your mind becomes a fortress, your path becomes clear, your time becomes sacred, and your life proves that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. So let them talk, guess, and assume. You keep building, sharpening, and evolving. And remember this, there will be a moment not far from now where your silence will be the loudest sound in the room, not because of what you say, but because of what you've done. You'll walk in, and they will already know, because real power doesn't come with noise, it comes with presence. That's the reward for minding your own business. That's the victory no one can take from you. That's the life that belongs to the builder, the doer, the focused, the silent one who stayed the course while others chased approval. Now, go forward and reclaim your attention, reclaim your energy, reclaim your business. Because greatness isn't found in proving, it's found in producing. Let the world speak, you execute. Let the world wander, you build. Let the world judge, you rise. This is what happens when you mind your own business. You don't need validation because you've already built value, and that is success no man can question.